So this is my quick little editing tutorial for how I edit CHDK DNG files from my digicam. So this is the before and this is the after once it starts to load. There we go. So my computer's a little bit slow, so bear with me. This is how the DNG file looks like straight out of my Canon sx530hs. It's a bridge style camera, so it's not like those compact digicams. It's a little bit bigger, 16 megapixels. It originally does not shoot RAW, so the hack helped out a lot. So let's get into the tutorial. So the first thing that I like to do here in Lightroom is, first of all, I'm going to zoom into, let's zoom into his hands so that you see kind of what's going on here. So you see, obviously the camera that I have, the bridge style camera, it's got a 50 times optical zoom. It's gonna have a lot of chromatic aberration. It's a fairly cheap camera. My coworker gave it to me, so shout out to her. The first thing that I like to do is remove the noise, the color noise. So I honestly just go crazy. I just pull that all the way up. If there's a better way to do that, please let me know. But here's the before and the after. As you can see, it got rid of a lot of that like purple noise detail that I feel like a lot of people don't really like, myself included, and it made it look a little bit more like texture. Like, I don't want to say film-like because we all know, if anybody's on the digicam hype, we all know everybody's saying this camera shoots like film. I don't necessarily think that that's true unless there's a little bit of post-processing, but anyway, so that got us closer. The next thing that I like to do, obviously, is remove chromatic aberration. We have that going on his finger here and here. You could see the purple of it a little bit. So let's go ahead and remove chromatic aberration. I'm going to increase the amount just until I see that kind of go away. Again, that's before. You can really see it around his finger, and that's after. So that got rid of that purple chromatic aberration going on there. So then the next thing that I like to do is add some haze and reduce the clarity. So, you know, let's go ahead and just slide this dehaze down to, I don't really like to go more than -15. I think that's kind of overdoing it personally. And let's go down on the clarity, and I'm going to zoom out just so that you guys can see all this. So far, this is what we have. This is what we started with. This is what we had. So this is not really going to be like a look tutorial. This is just kind of like how I edit my photos to get like this baseline look, and then you guys can feel free to add anything else that you'd like. I put the camera in auto white balance, and sometimes it does it a little bit too cold for my liking. So I'm gonna go ahead and warm him up just a little bit, warm him up. And then he's a little bit too green for me, so I'm gonna introduce some magenta. Then I'm gonna increase the exposure. And I think because this is like a flash photo, I'm gonna go just a little bit punchier with that flash look, specifically in like the highlights. Also because we added some haze, I'm gonna increase the contrast ever so slightly. Obviously I'm doing it with the contrast slider. You could do it with the curve, you could do it with these sliders here. I just like my process to be pretty easy. I also like to lift the blacks just ever so slightly. Again, you can do that however you like. Now I like to add in some vibrance. So just adding that in and some saturation. Kind of give it a little bit more life into it. Okay, so alright, I think I might have overdone it a little bit with the contrast. Let me just increase the black, see what that does. What if I increase the blacks on the graph, on the curves? Okay, I'm kind of liking this a little bit better. So you guys are seeing my live process of the tutorial. Now what I like to do is add some green. So let's see, let's go with something that's like, so his face is pretty much in focus. So this is also when the Dodgers won the World Series here in 2025. So this photo's very funny. Got the White Claw in the hand. Let's go ahead and use this. Not the White Claw. Is this a White Claw? I don't know my beverages. Anyway, whoever wants to comment what this is. And we're also over 21, so everybody relax. So what I like to do is I like to add the grain. So this is gonna sound crazy, bear with me. All the way up. Add it all the way up. And then find the size that you like with the slider. Okay, so you're gonna slide the size slider up until the photo looks like it starts to lose focus. And you'll see what I mean, just to be dramatic. So that's like, obviously that's super out of focus. But like you wanna find the moment where it starts to get out of focus. For me, that's around here. I'm paying attention to the letters on the can. So look at the letters, they're slightly out of focus. It's kind of like when you go to get an eye exam and they're just like, which one is better? It's kind of like that. So now that we have the size, let's bring the grain back down by a lot. This is basically just ever so slightly adding grain. Let's see, how is that looking? That's looking pretty good to me. All right, I'm liking that. I'm liking that so far. So obviously, because we are using the CHDK hack, it bypasses the sensor crop. It uses more of the sensor, which is why we're getting this vignetting of the lens here, because I think I shot this at the widest. And it also kind of distorts the photo here. Personally, I'm not too mad at it. I think it gives it kind of like this really cool wide angle fisheye look. Not fisheye, quote unquote, but you know what I mean. But so I just enabled lens correction anyway, just to correct it a little bit. So I'm gonna choose Canon, and my model is not on here, the Canon sx530hs. So I just kind of choose something similar in the digicam world, which would be the G series cameras right here, or the S95, stuff like that. Let's try the S95. That one's pretty. Okay, so that kind of did a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and run with that. Let's run with the S95. But of course, if you have your camera's model here, probably look into the lens and the sensor size of the selection of the camera list that it gives you when you choose the model. I just don't. I'm lazy and I just like to guess. So obviously now let's crop out that vignette. We're gonna crop that out here. And I'm gonna move the crop up so that it gets rid of that bottom part that's black. Okay. All right, once again, that is before and that is after. You see how the lens correction kind of affected his face as well, which is pretty cool. So another thing that I like to do is I like to add a subject mask, and I'm gonna make him just a little bit brighter just because I did use a direct flash look, and I'm kind of dabbling in that style right now, so you know, it's kind of fun. All right, well, it got him in the front and then him in the back. I'm okay with that, honestly. If this was like I said, this is just like for social media stuff, like nothing too crazy, but if I wanted to, I could have, like, you know, erased that part of the mask, but let's roll with it. So let's make him a little bit brighter. I'm also going to introduce a little bit more haze, and because I did that, let's introduce just a little bit more contrast and a little bit more saturation on him, just a little bit. And then what I like to do is right click, duplicate and invert, and now you guessed it, we're gonna make the background darker just a little bit. Just gonna pull down that exposure ever so slightly, not too much because then he just looks like a green screen cutout, but you know, we can decrease those shadows a bit, just a little bit. Okay, now let's take a look at before and after once my computer wants to load. Okay, it loaded. So cool. So this is what we are working with right now. Obviously, like I said, this is the baseline edits that I do when I edit my digicam photos. I can go in here and do the color mixer if I want to like get fancy with it, but this is just something that I just wanted to make a tutorial of because I haven't seen it on YouTube, and maybe if you know, it does exist out there and somebody wants to tell me, somebody wants to tag me in that video. But if not, I hope that you found this helpful. If we zoom in, you can see that we fixed a lot of that chromatic aberration and kind of just gave it a little bit more texture. And so when people say that digicam photos look like film, I think that that's only true with some... Okay, we're gonna hold for that airplane. Anyway, I think it's only true when you do a little bit of post-processing. Obviously nothing's gonna replace the way that film looks other than film itself and that kind of grain and stuff like that. But yeah, this is also a Halloween party, which is why he's dressed like Nomeo and his girlfriend was Juliet, so just to give you context. But yeah, so I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and keep shooting on digicams because they're convenient. And you can take them to parties. I spilled some tequila on the digicam this day and it still was running, so shout out to the digicams capturing all this fun moments. Like I said, this is when the Dodgers won on after Halloween in 2025. So cool. Peace.